This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(1:15 p.m.) This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Romesh Piris and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The head of the state says Thai Pongal season will provide much inspiration towards achieving the success of the national policy for a green agriculture. Marking Thai Pongal, the Premier says despite difficulties, the government has been able to fulfill its responsibility through the systematic implementation of the vaccination program. The opposition leader says Thai Pongal adds significance to the friendly coexistence of human beings. The Trade Ministry introduces a goods package in line with Thai Pongal festivities through Sathosa outlets island-wide. The Archbishop of Colombo urges police for a transparent probe. The appeals court directs the AG to submit the report on demarcation of Muthurajawala wetlands. The world's largest star sapphire cluster found in Sri Lanka registered in the Guinness Book of World Records. International news, the UN chief warns millions of Afghans are on the verge of death. Sports cricket, Niroshan Dikwala called up for Zimbabwe series. News in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says he believes this Thai Pongal season will provide much inspiration towards achieving the success of the national policy for a green agriculture. The head of state said in his message for the Thai Pongal festival celebrated today that Thai Pongal is a special religious and cultural festival of Hindu devotees dedicated to pay homage to the sun god for safeguarding their agricultural fields and providing a bountiful harvest. The president noted that Sri Lankans must move towards prosperity by adhering to a lifestyle that is in harmony with nature and based on green agriculture. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says Thai Pongal is a festival of thanksgiving, a commemoration of the energy and support given to agriculture by nature, including the sun god, up to harvest. The Premier, in his message to mark Thai Pongal, said despite difficulties, the government has been able to fulfill its responsibility to protect the lives of the people due to the systematic implementation of the vaccination program. The Premier emphasized that it is his belief that the meaning of Thai Pongal will also be of great help in achieving the noble goal of returning to the world as a prosperous country. In his message to mark Thai Pongal, the opposition leader MP Sajith Premadasa says Thai Pongal festival is celebrated by Hindus all over the world with the objective of spreading loving kindness and compassion to human beings, animals, as well as to Mother Nature. He noted at a time when there is an acute need for more and more intimacy with nature, cultural festivals such as Thai Pongal pave the way for pleasant lifestyles, adding significance to the friendly coexistence of human beings. The Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit, called for a transparent probe on the incident while rejecting the information revealed by the police on the recovering of a hand grenade at All Saints Church, Borella on Tuesday, January 11, 2022. The Archbishop said the sacristan of the church was arrested only by reviewing the video clip which were recorded after 3 p.m. on that day. The Court of Appeal has directed the Attorney General to submit the full report on the demarcation of the Muthurajawala wetland on the 4th of March. The writ petition filed against the disposal of garbage in the Muthurajawala wetland was taken up for consideration on Thursday. The petition was taken up before a bench comprising Justices Sobhita Rajakarna and Dhammika Ganepola. The Central Environmental Authority and the Ministry of Wildlife Resources have been cited as respondents in the petition filed by the Centre of Environmental Justice. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Isuru Udana gift certificates, a valuable gift for any child.
The Star Sapphire cluster, weighing over 500 kilograms, which was found in the Ratnapura area last year, got approval and was registered in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's largest Star Sapphire cluster. State Minister of Gem and Jewellery-related Industries, Lohan Ratwata, said the cluster got registered in the Guinness Book after it was certified as a Star Sapphire cluster by the Gubili Gem Lab in Switzerland. The cluster, weighing around 510 kilograms or 2.5 million carats, has been named the Serendipity Sapphire. According to the Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry, 594 new COVID-19 cases were reported on Thursday. According to the Epidemiology Unit report at 7:20 p.m. Thursday, a total of 594,319 COVID-19 cases have been reported since the beginning of the pandemic, while 11,445 infected patients are currently under medical care at hospitals and homes, and 567,700 patients have fully recovered and been discharged from hospitals. Sri Lanka Thursday reported 11 deaths, raising the total to 15,174. Meanwhile, according to the Epidemiology Unit report, so far, a total of 16,105,730 people have received a first dose of COVID-19 vaccine and 13,865,450 have received the second dose. In addition, 4,523,953 have received the third booster dose. The Railway Station Masters Union has again launched a strike with immediate effect. The strike has been launched against the decision taken by the Railway's General Manager to interdict the Vice Chairman of the Union. Earlier, the strike action launched by the Railway Station Masters Association based on several demands was called off at midnight. The General Manager of Railways said over 200 train journeys were cancelled due to the trade union action. The Chairman of the Sri Lanka Railway Station Masters Association, Sumedha Somaratna, said they are closely monitoring the developments, adding they hope all issues will be resolved at the earliest. The Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation celebrated Thai Pongal at its premises this morning with the participation of Chairman Hudson Samarasinghe and staff members. Further invoking blessings to the sun god, Chairman Samarasinghe wished the President and the Prime Minister success to steer the country through challenging times. The Chairman also added his warm wishes to the state broadcaster for its continued success. Coming up next is the main news story.
Your sister got him the most valuable gift of all.
My family will do anything for our child's future.
People's Bank Isuru Udana gift certificates, a valuable gift for any child.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In the main news story, the Minister of Trade, Bandula Gunawardena, launched a special goods package in line with Thai Pongal season through Lanka Satusa today. The Minister said the goods package consists of 20 items and costs 5,771 rupees. However, it's available at a special price of 3,919 rupees at Satusa outlets. The Minister made these comments at a press briefing held at the Trade Ministry this morning. He added that the customers can request the goods package to be delivered to their homes by contacting the number 1998. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight, the police is to start a 3-day operation to gather information on all temporary residents who are living in Colombo City coming from various parts of the island with the aim of securing national security and eliminating crime and narcotic trade in Colombo. Accordingly, police will gather information within the Colombo Municipal Council area today, tomorrow and the 16th of January. The police have requested to obtain registration form from the community police officers visiting the houses and streets during the period from the nearest police station if there are temporary occupants residing in the houses or other places. Further, the public is requested to enter the correct information about the temporary residents of the area and hand it over to the relevant police officers or the relevant police station. And that was Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
In the headlines, the UN chief warns millions of Afghans are on the verge of death. President Joe Biden plans dealt crushing blow by fellow Democrats. Russia says NATO talks unsuccessful as Poland warns of war. World news in detail now. The United Nations chief has warned that millions of Afghans are on the verge of death, urging the international community to fund the UN's $5 billion humanitarian appeal, release Afghanistan's frozen assets and jumpstart its banking system to avert economic and social collapse. Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on Thursday that freezing temperatures and frozen assets are a lethal combination of the people of Afghanistan. The UN has said 8.7 million Afghans are on the brink of starvation, and it was critical to rapidly inject liquidity into the Afghan economy and avoid a meltdown that would lead to poverty, hunger, and destitution for millions. President Joe Biden's hopes of overhauling the U.S. election system looked doomed after two of his fellow Democrats came out against them. Mr. Biden has been arguing for the hugely controversial step of scrapping a key Senate norm to pass the bills. He wants to repeal the filibuster, which requires a 60% majority to pass certain legislation in the Senate. The upper chamber of Congress is currently split 50-50 between the two parties. Russia has described its security talks with the United States and NATO this week as unsuccessful, saying there is continued disagreements on fundamental issues. The talks, which moved to Vienna on Thursday for a meeting of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, are centered on Russia's security demands from the West and its build-up troops near Ukraine. The military deployments have spooked Kyiv and its allies, prompted calls for the forces to be pulled back, and led to Western warnings of severe penalties on Russia should it launch an offensive. Back to the headlines of the world news. The UN chief warns millions of Afghans are on the verge of death. President Joe Biden's plans dealt crushing blow by fellow Democrats. Russia says NATO talks unsuccessful as Poland warns of war. And that ends World News.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
In development news, the Hambantota International Port has received fitness for service certification for their tank farm facility. The certification was issued by Lloyd's Register, the world's leading provider of classification, compliance and consultancy services to marine and offshore industries. This is a landmark achievement that will further strengthen the HIP brand in the maritime world. Located just 10 nautical miles from the world's busiest maritime route linking Europe and Asia, HIP's fully functioning tank farm facility for bunker fuel supply provides a huge advantage to the vast number of vessels plying this route. And that was development news.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Sports. Cricket news. Niroshan Dickwella has been called up for Sri Lanka's ODI series against Zimbabwe, returning to international cricket days after his one-year suspension was lifted. Dickwella was drafted into the squad following an injury to Minod Bhanukar, with Ashin Bandara also being added to the squad for the three-match series, which starts this Sunday in Pallekele. Meanwhile, in other cricket news, the fifth and final encounter for The already decided Ashes Trophy got underway in Hobart, Australia between Australia and England today. Earlier, England won the toss and elected to field. Australia lost quick wickets and were 85 for 4 for the loss of 4 wickets. At lunch, Cameron Green and Travis Head were at the crease with 2 and 34 runs respectively. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The U.S. government's Agency for International Development launched a free online mentoring platform today to connect emerging entrepreneurs with experienced business experts. The platform, available to the public at yes.ulead.lk, connects aspiring entrepreneurs across Sri Lanka with more than 100 experienced business leaders and subject matter experts to help them navigate unprecedented challenges and support the long-term success of their businesses. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The Indian High Commission has confirmed the extension of a $900 million financial facility, including $400 million currency swap to Sri Lanka. The High Commission tweeted that the High Commissioner met the Governor of the Central Bank and conveyed India's support to Sri Lanka. The Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle met CBSL Governor Ajit Niwad Cabral and expressed India's strong support to Sri Lanka in the wake of RBI extending the facilities over the last week. And that was Economic News.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The Weather Report.
The Meteorological Department forecasts showers or thundershowers to occur at several places in the central, Sabragama, Uva and southern provinces and in the Kalutara district in the afternoon. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. The general public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporarily localized strong winds and lightning during thundershowers. And that was the weather report. And to conclude this news broadcast, back to the headlines. The head of the state says Thai Pongal season will provide much inspiration towards achieving the success of the national policy for a green agriculture. Marking Thai Pongal, the Premier says, despite difficulties, the government has been able to fulfill its responsibility through the systematic implementation of the vaccination program. The opposition leader says Thai Pongal adds significance to the friendly coexistence of human beings. The Trade Ministry introduces a goods package in line with Thai Pongal festivities through Satosa outlets island-wide. The Archbishop of Colombo urges police for a transparent probe. The appeal court directs the AG to submit a full report on demarcation of Muthurajavala wetlands. The world's largest star sapphire cluster found in Sri Lanka registered in the Guinness Book of World Records. International news, the UN chief warns millions of Afghans are on the verge of death. Sports, cricket, Niroshan Dikwala called up for Zimbabwe series. And with that, we end this news broadcast.